Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked up this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have a Santini, and this is Italia, and this is the Libra in the Ambra. We have an Armando Simonica Bologna Extra Black and Gold Lucens. We have a black Robin Pens Iago in the Silver Dust with a Benu Scepter VI. We have a Diplomat Aero in the blue. We have a Visconti Watermark. We have a Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina. We have a Visconti Divina Elegance in the green. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove. And we have a Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina in shiny circles. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up in a little bit more detail. So this is the Santini Italia, and this is the Libra model. This material is called the Ambra, and this is a very much of a sort of an amber nectar honey cracked ice color material that is actually a material that Conway Stewart used to use. This is a beautiful, beautiful material. Now, one thing I should mention is that these pens are actually very affordable. These pens, if you think on most pens are maybe £100 or £150 or euros or dollars, if you have a steel nib on them and you wanted to upgrade to a gold nib, you're looking at about another £150. It's doubling the price of the pen. These pens came in around about £150 with an 18 karat gold nib. Now, all of the gold trim, the clip, the cap band, the rings, and also the nib are made by Santini Italia in-house. So they've managed to keep the price of these pens down pretty well. So this is a medium 18 karat gold nib there. But these are beautiful nibs. Also, it comes with an ebonite feed or feeder there. So these are really, really good. It is a piston filling mechanism as well. It's not a cartridge converter. You can also, if you really want to, post the cap, although it does become a little bit long. I don't feel that I need to post the caps on most pens unless they're very short pens. But for me, these are beautiful length and size and weight pens. They're also beautiful writers as well. So this one's a medium 18 karat gold nib that I have on there. But these are really, really nice materials. And you can just see that that material there is really, really quite stunning. So I have that one inked up with me this week. The next one I have is another honey coloured. This is an Armando Simonica Bologna Extra. And this is in the black Lucens. I typically call it the black and gold Lucens because half of the pen is in black and half of it is more of a honey gold colour. So this is a beautiful, beautiful pen. It's an oversized pen. It does have one of these pneumatic filling mechanisms. So if you don't know, you unscrew the blind cap here and you pull out what looks to be a piston rod or a power vac rod, but it's not. This is a shaft. You have a hole here. It's a pneumatic filling mechanism. So you have a hole there, and what you do is it has a latex or rubber sac inside the body. You hold your finger on here, and whilst holding your finger, you push this down. I'm not going to do so because it is inked up, because what that then does is it creates a vacuum when you have your finger on there, and when you let go, it will then suck up ink into that rubber or latex sac. So that's why I didn't hold my finger on there when I was pushing that down. But this is a beautiful pen. It's got a number 8 size Magic Flex nib there. It's a medium nib that writes more like a broad. It writes very, very wet. You've got the Greek keyband here and also on the cap as well. I do like it. I like it a lot. This is a nice pen, nice size. It's a massive pen. It's an oversized pen, but I like it. It's a pen that works well for me. Saying that, I also like short pens as well, and this is a pen that I added to my collection. I think it was in 2020, may have been 2019. I think it was 2020. This is the Black Robin Pens Iago, and this is a silver dust or stardust pen. I do like this a lot, and I remember buying this from Meg. She put this up on Instagram, and it sold out pretty quickly. And then over the Christmas period, within a couple of weeks, she had made another one and said, "Would you like this?" And I said, "Yes, please." And I got this with a, I think I got it with a medium nib, potentially. It may have been a broad. I've got a broad nib on there now anyway. I think it may have been a broad because I said to Meg that I like broad nibs. So it has a Jowo steel broad nib on there. It is a cartridge converter pen, and it has a slight sort of concaveness of a section here. I do find this is very comfortable. It's a cartridge converter pen. It holds 0.7 milliliters of ink. The cap cannot be posted. It's not designed on this model to post, but I like it. I love this material, and you can see there that this material is quite translucent as well. So you can see the nib through that material. It's a pen that I do like writing with. It's a broad nib, a Jowo nib. I like broad Jowo nibs, and it's just a pen that I get a lot of pleasure out of writing with. The next pen again is another short pen, and this is a Benu. This is a Scepter number 6. It's not the Grand Scepter, so it's not the glow-in-the-dark version. So this one is very interesting. It's faceted, and the facets actually twist. It reminds me of a Visconti Divina, but the facets twist in the opposite direction. There's no steel or silver rods, but it's an interesting material. It's very glittery. It's a darker grey with gold. It reminds me of a staff or a lightning rod or a magician's rod, a staff. But I do like this a lot. It does have a smaller number 5 size nib. It's a broad nib. It's a cartridge converter. Holds 0.7 milliliters of ink. You can't post the caps on these. It's not designed to do so. I typically do like number 6 size nibs. However, this is a number 5 size nib, but I do like writing with it. So for me, I have this one inked up this week as well, and I'm enjoying it as well. The next pen is a pen that a friend actually gave me, gifted me, and this is a Diplomat Aero. I always wanted a Diplomat Aero. When they originally came out, I remember Goulet Pens doing this blue exclusive back then. And since then it went out of exclusivity, and then you could buy it as a regular colour. But I've always wanted one of these. I've always been a little bit put off because I've got some friends that have either had some bad experiences with nibs from Diplomat, or they've actually had issues posting the cap. And I'm not a cap poster. But this one does post, and I believe it was something that Diplomat had changed in a rolling change on their models. The earlier models did not post or did not post well, but this does post for me. This one doesn't have a steel nib, but it has a 14 karat gold broad nib, and I do like this. I love how it writes. So again, it's a cartridge converter pen. It has a click cap. You can hear there. So it's just a push-on cap. It's not a screw thread, but I do find it actually keeps the nib quite wet. Some clip-on caps do not, and I'd say probably about 90-95% of my pens are probably, maybe a little bit higher than that, are actually screw caps or hook safe lock mechanisms. They're not click-on caps. So I'm very pleasantly surprised by how the nib stays wet on the Diplomat Aero. It's got a good seal. The next pen I have inked up, I've had inked up a few weeks back, and this is the Visconti Watermark. Beautiful pen. I do like this a lot. I always ink it with an orange ink. I have seen other people in the community ink it with blue or purples, and although it looks gorgeous, I actually prefer it looking with an orange ink. So I have this inked up. It's a power vac filler. It's a double reservoir. You got an ink window here. It's not got the hook safe lock mechanism, it's just got threads, but it's got the concave section that you would see on a lot of Visconti Homo sapiens. And it also has a 23 cat palladium medium nib there with an ABS plastic feed. I do like these a lot. You can post the cap. It doesn't post that deeply, but you can if you want to. Personally, I don't want to. It's the overlay and the filling knob and also the section and the overlay on the cap as well is all solid silver. But it's plated in 23 cat palladium. I think it's, if I remember right, I think it's 0.3 or 0.7 microns. I think it's 0.3. So I don't know how easy that will wear off over time. So I don't post that cap because of it. But I do like this pen. I do like how it writes. It's got a little bit of a bouncy nib to it. And I have to say that I do keep coming back to that pen because I do like how that one writes. The next pen I have inked up is a beautiful pen. It's not a cheap pen. And it comes in a huge box, a display box. Although I'm hesitant to call it a display box. If you go and look at my review of it, it is a massive sort of, I think it's octagonal box, faceted box. It's wooden box. So yes, you could open the lid and it becomes a display piece, but it's a massive box. So I'm hesitant to call it a display box. But I love this pen to bits. This is the Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina, and you will see there Leonardo da Vinci's signature there. And this is a beautiful scrimshaw pen that you can see here. So they take what is a resin, the white ivory color resin, and they then laser engrave, I believe, the design into the body, and then they add color to it so that you've got some color there as well, just to make it stand out a little bit more. I do love this pen a lot. It also has the Medici Aqua Silk brown material there that just comes to life. Look at this. That just is beautiful. So I like this a lot. It's got the hook safe lock mechanism. It's a power vac. It's a single reservoir though. It's got the 23 cat. Is it? Yeah, no, it's actually an 18 cat gold. Sorry. 18 karat gold nib, the new style nib from Visconti. It's a medium, but it writes a little bit more like a fine. It's got a little bit of nib creep or crustiness because I've got a brown ink in there. That typically happens with brown ink. Sometimes certain orange inks as well will also crust up around the nib and feed. It's just the nature of how the dye crystallizes in those colors of inks. Not all inks. The ink I've got in here is an ink that typically doesn't crust up too much in the watermark. But it can also be down to the cap seal as well. If a lot of water out of the ink is evaporating, then that can also make inks go a little bit crusty on nibs as well. The next pen I have inked up this week is the Visconti Divina Elegance in green. And this is a pen that I am really liking writing with again. It's not a pen that I had written with for, I think, about a year. I'd have to go back and check my currently inked videos, but maybe I have. But this is a pen that I am enjoying writing with. It's a long pen. It's a little bit thinner. It has a captured converter. You pull this out, you twist to turn, and it's got a captured converter. What's a captured converter? It's basically a converter that is integral into the body that you cannot remove. So you cannot remove the body off of the section on this pen. But this has a 23 cat palladium medium nib on there. It's got a hook safe lock mechanism. I do like this pen a lot. I can post the cap if I want to. These silver rods do line up as well. I love this pen. It only holds 0.6, 0.7 milliliters of ink, but that's not really a problem when you have say a Visconti pen filler or a Visconti traveling inkwell, I should say, or a Pinida pen filler, because you can then fill those on the go with you and just take the ink with you. But I like this pen a lot, and I have that one inked up this week as well. I also have a Montegrappa, and this is a stunning extra 1930. It's a Shiny Lines Dove. You can see there the Dove logo there on that cap band, and Montegrappa 1912, because it is Montegrappa, that's the year that they were born. It is a celluloid material. It's a Shiny Lines material that I believe was exclusive to Montegrappa. I've not seen any other manufacturers using that material. I may be wrong. There may be vintage pens out there that use that material, but I think this was something that was exclusive to Montegrappa. It's a piston filling pen. This is actually a Goulet Pens exclusive. So this, if I show you here, if I get it up the right way, you'll see here, is it that way? If I get it to focus, there you go. So it's 14 of 80, I believe that says there. Yeah, 14 of 80. So it's an 80 limited edition run. It sold out somewhat quickly, not as quickly as I think or thought it was going to sell out. I think it took about 4 or 5 months to sell out at Goulet, but I do love it. It's got the number 8 size Montegrappa 18 karat gold dove nib there. Although it's a number 8 size nib, Montegrappa do actually put these nibs quite deeply into the section. So they do, in terms of length of the nib, look a little bit more like a number 6. But the nib width is always measured at the collar here. So for me, I do like this pen a lot, and I have that one inked up with me this week as well. I have seen a few of these sell more recently on the second-hand market. I know for one thing I'm not selling mine, so I have had people ask me if I would sell it, and it's just a pen that I like a lot. And then I also have this one, which again is another Montegrappa. It's the same celluloid material, but they call it the shiny circles. Shiny lines go down the pen, shiny circles go round the pen. This is the Bartolomeo Ferracina. It's got a clock face, and that black bit there is solar, so it will recharge itself. It's a beautiful pen. It's an oversized pen, but it's a pen that I do like writing with a lot. It has a silver section that will tarnish over time. You do have to polish the trims on these pens, the Montegrappas. It has a number 8 size Montegrappa nib there, and this is a medium nib. But again, this writes really, really well. It's a piston filling pen, and I do love this pen. I'm glad that I was able to add this pen to my collection. I did get this one from Insta Emmy at Pen Venture, and he wanted to do a trade with one of my Omar's Paragon Arte Italiana Arco Brown pens, and I just couldn't part with it. But in the end, I did come back and say to him, look, I'll give you some money for this pen, and he accepted. So I did buy that pen from him. It's a beautiful pen, and I honestly could see myself adding another one of those to my collection, although I typically try not to buy multiples of the same material and the same pen, but I could easily see myself, if I get a good deal on one, that I might actually add one to my collection. So there you have it. That's my currently ink pens for this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen is the Santini Italia, and this is the Libra in the Ambra. So I think let's do an ink swatch. Now this is a medium nib, but these nibs write quite wet, and I do like how they write. So I will show you here just how wet that is. So this is the Santini, and it's the Libra, and it's in the Ambra. This is a medium 18 karat gold nib. It's an in-house nib that Santini make. And then the ink in here is KWZ Honey, which is a beautiful colour ink, and I typically like to ink that pen up with KWZ Honey. It's beautiful ink. The next pen is an Armando Simonica Bologna Extra, and this is in the black and gold Lucens. Now this also is inked up with the same ink, strangely enough. Again, this is a pen that I typically will ink up honey with. So I should probably go for, I've got Diamond Honeyburst, so I should probably put Honeyburst in one of those. So this is, I'm going to abbreviate, ASC Bologna Extra, and it's the black and gold Lucens, and it is a medium 18 cat gold nib, and then the ink in here, as I mentioned, is KWZ Honey. Now these are two very wet writing nibs. You will probably see a slight difference there once those inks have dried, and we'll revisit that in a little bit. The next pen is the Black Robin Pens Iago. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now this is a broad nib, and I have to say I do prefer, when it's a Yovo nib, a broad nib. So this is the Black Robin Pens Iago. And it's the, I think it's the Silver Dust or the Stardust. I can never quite remember. I'll have to go back and look at my review. It's a broad Yovo steel nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine. And it's Earl Grey, which is a beautiful grey ink. My favourite grey ink. And then another pen here is a Benu Scepter VI. This also has the same ink as well. So this, do the ink swatch here. This is also a broad nib from Benu. Benu uses a Schmidt nib, not a Bock or Yovo nib. So this is a Benu Scepter, and it's number 6. And it's a broad and it's a steel nib. As I mentioned, it's a Schmidt nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, which is a beautiful grey ink. The next pen here is the Diplomat Aero in the blue. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a broad nib, and you can see that here. It does write a little bit broad. It's also a quite a viscous ink, so it's not necessarily a wet ink. This is the Diplomat Aero, and this is in a broad, and it's a 14 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Majestic Blue, which is a lovely blue ink from Diamine there. The next pen is a Visconti Watermark. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I always ink this up with a beautiful orange ink. And this is quite a wet writer of a pen. So this is the Visconti Watermark. It's a medium 23 cat palladium nib, and then the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku, and it is Yaki, which is a beautiful orange ink from Pilot. The next pen is the Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina. So we'll do another ink swatch here. Now this is a medium nib, but it's a wet nib, but it writes a little bit more on the finer western side for me. So it's a Visconti Leonardo, Da Vinci, Machina, and it is a medium. It's the newer in-house 18 karat gold nib from Visconti, and then the ink in here is Ackerman SBRE Brown, which is a lovely brown ink made by Diamine for Ackerman. The next pen is a Visconti Divina Elegance in green. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And it's a beautiful green colour ink. I do like a lot. So this is the Visconti Divina Elegance in green. And it is a medium 23 karat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Apple Glory. It's a beautiful bright green ink. The next pen is a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a beautiful, beautiful writing nib. I do like it a lot. So this is the Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib, and then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey. This is a beautiful grey ink, and I have that on 2 other pens inked up this week already, and I do like that ink a lot. And in the last pen here, again, is another Montegrappa. It's a Bartolomeo Ferracina in shiny circles. Now, this is also inked up with the same ink as well. I guess I'm going with a little bit of a grey week this week. Now, that nib also is quite wet. I do like how it writes. So this is the Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferracina. It's the shiny circles, but I'm going to not fit it there. It's a medium 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink is there. I already mentioned it is Diamine Earl Grey. Which, yes, it is. That's 4 pens inked up with Diamine Earl Grey this week. So, a bit of a grey colour week. So, I think with that, let's go through these pens inked up one more time. So, we have a Santini Italia Libra in the Ambra in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Honey. We have an Armando Simonica Bologna Extra Black and Gold Lucens in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Honey. We have a Black Robin Pens Iago in a broad steel nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Benu Scepter VI in a broad steel nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Diplomat Aero in a broad 14 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Majestic Blue. We have a Visconti Watermark in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Pilot Aroshizuku Yuyaki. We have a Visconti Leonardo Da Vinci Machina in an 18 karat gold nib inked up with Ackerman SBRE Brown. We have a Visconti Divina Elegance in green in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Diamine Apple Glory. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. And then last but not least, we have a Montegrappa Bartolomeo Ferrachina in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. So there you have it, that's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.